I think it's a really interesting question. I think there are a number of things that will be key to driving low carbon solutions across the world as well as Asia, and there's no one single solution that will be there. And of course, energy efficiency in buildings, in our infrastructure, will be very important as a first step. But then in terms of power reduction and producing energy that we can all use, which is clean for the future, I think there are three key interventions that we should look at. The first is renewable energy and the integration of renewable energy in all of our systems. So that varies by geography very much. So in Singapore, for example, the only really abundant renewable energy resource is solar, whereas if you move to Indonesia, you might have more geothermal as an opportunity, and as when you move into Vietnam, Philippines, and further north into North Asia, offshore wind becomes a very viable solution. Second to that, and kind of complementary to that, is storage. As we get more intermittent renewables onto the grid, we'll need to be able to balance demand with supply. And so that means minute by minute storage for cloud cover and short-term frequency response, to longer-term storage for overnight, say when the sun isn't shining, to when we go to seasonal climates where there is a big difference in season, where we'll need to look at long-term storage. And there we're really thinking about batteries in the short term and potentially things like hydrogen in the long term. Then the third thing to really think about in terms of carbon reduction is how do we transfer energy between locations of high renewable energy resource to areas that are resource constrained. So there we've got two options. We're looking at electrical interconnectors, so direct wire, for example, the Sun Cable project all the way from Australia to Singapore, but there are many shorter distance potential solutions. And also the transfer of low carbon fuels, which might be used directly for power generation, but also for shipping and aviation. So transfer a production of green hydrogen, say in Australia, and transfer to places like Singapore, Japan, and Korea. And I think in order to create and enable those three areas of change, we need to put in place policy that really values the carbon reduction that comes from those solutions.